Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the McLaren P1 for the second time in Asphalt 9 multiplayer. Last time I tested this car was a few months ago, and I did not make it purple, so I figured it would be a good idea to make a second one with the car being purple. So I have 4-starred it. My tuning is 10, 10, 10, 10, with all import parts applied except for the epic one on handling. Never put epic import parts on handling unless you have enough to max the car out. This brings us to a rank of 3266. This first race is against a Huayra at 3300 rank and two VLF Force 1s at 3200 and 3800. Now, one thing the P1 really has going for it is its very good acceleration. Definitely better than the Huayras and the LaFerraris, and I believe better than the VLF Force 1s as well. Better than, I would say, most of the A-class cars. Its speed and handling are also pretty good. However, its nitro efficiency is not especially great, mediocre at best, I would say, but that's its only real weak point. Here, somebody hits us in the air. Thankfully, we don't get knocked down, but just stop 360, which is, I guess, kind of nice, so we don't have problems with hitting the side and then getting really slowed down. Anyway, we get out of that, get around these turn shockwave, stay ahead of him. That VLF is actually the 3200 rank one. Interesting, because there's a 3800 rank one in this race as well. Now, there were some tests done, and the VLF is actually better than the P1 on a lot of tracks. One reason being it has a lot better nitro efficiency. Now, of course, that is when they're maxed at lower stars. I do not know. Now, my VLF is at 3 stars, and I don't know if it's especially great at 3 stars or not. I haven't really tested in multiplayer because my FXXK and P1 have done so very well for me, and I don't really want to risk anything. So here we've come in first ahead of those two VLFs. Poor BC came in last. Now, the BC is not necessarily a bad car, as you will see if you have watched my BC video. However, its pretty bad acceleration leads to its downfall on tracks like Rome, for example, which have lots of twists and turns. In this race, which turned out to be extremely close, we are facing a 3800 rank VLF, along with a BC, a Pininfarina, and a P1. All of those are fairly close to 3000 rank, so this VLF at 3800 was definitely going to be my most formidable opponent, since my P1 is at 3266, or a whole 500 plus ranks lower than him. However, ranked difference in Asphalt 9 does not matter nearly as much as ranked difference in Asphalt 8, because cars in Asphalt 9 stats do not go up as much when their rank increases as they did in Asphalt 8. So facing a car 500 rank above you is not necessarily a recipe for disaster, especially if they're in the same class or a lower class than your car. Because in Asphalt 9, in a lot of cases, it seems that cars with close to the same rank really do have pretty close to the same speed. This is seen pretty easily in Class A. Now, in Class S, that's obviously not as much of the case because you have the Trion Nemesis, which is just crazy fast at the same rank as an Icona, for example, which is a lot slower. Also, in D-Class, you've got the Elise, but I would say that in a lot of classes, especially C, B, and A-Class, cars with around the same rank have close to the same speed. Now, for example, if you get a car in a class a lot lower than you that has about the same rank, like say, for example, in a 3-star P1, you face a 4-star Pininfarina. Both are very close to the same rank, around 3000. The P1 is a good 25 plus miles per hour faster, but they're close to the same rank, but the Pininfarina is 2 classes lower. So yeah, you can use that reasoning a lot of the time. Not always, but it works especially well if the car you're facing is 2 classes different than you. So we are coming up fairly close to the end of the second lap here. This VLF is still staying a good bit ahead of me, so we come down here, and then we both barrel roll up this ramp. However, he gets slowed down for some reason. I don't even know exactly why, but it allows me to pull ahead. Now, because I need to drift around the turn, he doesn't. He catches up, but I speed right past him again just a couple seconds before the finish line for the win. One of my closest races in the P1 all this season. So we've come in ahead of this Le Mans member who is a very good driver, and I definitely give him props for that. Now for a race on the Himalayas against 7 other vehicles, all of which are either BCs or LaFerraris. And we can see here at the beginning just how much faster the P1's acceleration is than all of them. I started basically in the back, and now I'm in front. Yes. That is the power of the P1's acceleration. So this track, Mountain Poles, and its reverse version, Frozen Route, I believe it is, are 2 of the best tracks for high top speed oriented cars. So if you're driving a car like the Trion Nemesis or the Regera whenever that releases, these tracks will be some of the best ones for you. Now, you cannot choose your tracks in multiplayer, but yeah, if you drive one of those cars, just know that if this track comes up, or Frozen Route, you're going to have a fairly easy time compared to some of the other other tracks. So now for a little bit of Asphalt 8 news. If you are still playing the game, you probably know that the Apollo IE R&D and the McLaren X2 Championship have come back. Those are the two kings of the game right now, and since they come back in quick succession, and the next update is presumably just around the corner, I can only assume that there will be some kind of new S-Class King, or possibly even new Game King in the next update. Now, considering that I spent almost all my tokens to get the Pista, which I'm still planning to make a video about, by the way, it may be a little bit difficult to get, so we will see how that goes. So we've come in first in this race ahead of all those BCs and LaFerraris. Now let's go back in time a bit to see some crazy races that I had in my 3-star P1. This is a race between me and two other McLaren P1s at the exact same rank as me, 2980. This is what my P1 was at for the longest time, and it really was only in the last couple days that I managed to 4-star this car, and I had so many good races in the 3-star one that I just had to upload some of them as well. Now, these next three races are sort of unusual. In them, you will see some interesting knockdowns that were unintentional because I don't do intentional knockdowns, but they were still a little weird because I'm usually the one who gets knocked down in situations like that. I'm always the unlucky one. But in this case, and in these next few races, it didn't seem like I was unlucky, and I just kind of went on a rampage. So we are now catching up ever so slowly to this guy in first place. The fact that all of the races in this season were 2 laps certainly makes it a lot easier to catch up if you get behind at the beginning or something else, but I do still think you should be able to choose or vote 1 or 2 laps like in Asphalt 8. So here I knock him down by landing on him, and so it ends up that I get a knockdown on both other people in this race without getting knocked down myself. That is an anomaly for me. So we come to the end of the first lap, and thankfully, unlike the Huayra video, nobody catches up to me in the second lap, and thus we come in first position, ahead of those two same-ranked P1s. In this race, we are facing another 3-star P1, a 3100 rank Huayra BC, as well as a 4000 rank Huayra BC. And even a 3-star P1 starts up a lot faster than that 5-star BC. That is one reason I am kind of glad that the Huayra's acceleration is getting buffed in the next update, because right now it is just really underwhelming. But that gives the P1 some time to shine in the meantime. Kind of surprised that no one got knocked down right here. I was on top of him for quite a while, but here I did manage to get ahead of him and into first position. This is one of those races when I usually would have been knocked down in a typical race going on top of a car like that, but it didn't happen in this one, thankfully. So here, I've almost given up going to the right because so many times I have problems hitting the wall or something. I still do it a lot of the time, but it's probably like a 50-50 chance whether I go that way or not. And on that ramp back there, a lot of you guys have probably had the problem where you flat spin up the ramp and then you hit the edge of whatever that thing is and go flying up into the air and float down like a balloon. Well, there's a way to stop that if you do a 360 earlier. Like, don't do a 360 as you're leaving the ramp. While it may be slower, do a 360 before you get to the ramp or just a little bit before, and you don't really have to worry about going high up into the air. So we finished this race in first place, and that 4000 rank Huayra, who came in second, reached a rating of 1679, which, as you guys know, is kind of my lucky number. So now for our final race of the video, which is against a 3-star P1, a 4-star P1, and 2 LaFerraris around 2800 rank. That LaFerrari there may have tried to knock me down at the beginning. Thankfully I got out, because usually in the first 10 seconds you don't really get knocked down by anything, including getting pushed to the side. However, that has happened occasionally. So here, thankfully, we get away from there without getting hung up because we hit the side a bit while 360ing, and then go up this ramp, hit the LaFerrari going the other direction, brake so as not to do a half barrel, and we continue on. Some crazy things happening in this race so far, and you haven't seen all of them yet. So guys, you know what time it is. Time for me to give my general review of this car. It is one of the best A-Class cars, definitely behind the 918 NSV, and possibly the VLF as well, but it is just very fun to drive, very good in multiplayer due to its splendid acceleration, and it's just all around a very nice car. So here we come up to this turn, shockwave around it, and then knock down that LaFerrari. Again, it was accidental. He just was there where I was going. So the only player left in front of us is Rush, who we are catching up to slowly but surely. So we drift around this turn, shockwave up just like him. A lot of people in Asphalt 9 will take the same routes in a lot of cases. However, here I do a slightly faster thing than he does. I perfect nitro all the way through here. He loses a bit of speed and I bump him, and we go around the turn and we both shockwave. Here I 360 and he does not, and thus I manage to knock him down, get hung up against the side, but thankfully I pick up that yellow nitro and get back up to speed fairly quickly. Because again, this car has nice acceleration. And then the rest of this race goes as normal and we come in first position. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like the video if you have enjoyed and consider subscribing for more Asphalt 8 and 9 content. And I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!